Civil Society African Women Pioneer Award was instituted by GIMAC as a biannual ceremony to honor women and men gender champions whose efforts have advanced gender equality at national, regional, and global level. For us at GIMAC, this is an advocacy tool, just to encourage women in leadership, for them to be able to engage, at the different levels I mentioned, but who have really advanced gender mainstreaming. To date, we have had over 20 women champions that have been awarded, and we usually, as the GIMAC, propose these names, and the steering committee of the GIMAC will then review based on our recommendations, and we agree to award. We usually award based on 4 categories. It has to be a woman gender champion that is leaving or has left their positions, or a woman gender champion still in office, awarded on exceptional circumstances, or a woman gender champion selected at national level, or one who is from anywhere, any part of the world, who has also supported gender equality at the African Union or in Africa, or it could be a male gender champion. We have those who were leaving office that we have awarded recently was the first, the African Union Commission, he for she champion, Dr. Jean Bosco Butera, who was the special advisor and chief of staff of the Office of the Special Envoy on Women, Peace, and Security to the African Union. We also awarded Ms. Tokozilo, who was the former director, Gender, Poverty, and Social Policy Division of UNECA, who was really one of our huge supporters at the GIMAC. I'm saying this so that you can understand the people we've given this award to. Some other partners we've given, one of them is Mrs. Mary Robinson, who is president of Mary Robinson Foundation on Climate Justice, who has really journeyed with us here at the African Union and also been very active as, supporting the GIMAC. So as the steering committee, I already mentioned that we do select these women. This year, we have selected 3 women, and we are going to be hearing the story behind the award. The first person we are going to be awarding is our big sister, Miss Letty Chiwara. Behind those claps, there are many struggles. Struggle for space, struggle for recognition, struggle for money. Yeah? She's always there. There was one day she called us for an emergency meeting in her office. I will never forget, but I think everybody has a story. She called us, the steering committee. I need to meet with you, Helen. Where are you people? We are coming. We had to go to her. She sat us down and said, for this, you do this. For this, you go like this. For this one, this is how we're going to. That is the kind of support we got from her. So sometimes that we even have this space to organize, people will not understand. But it's okay. We always want to celebrate. The second person we are going to be recognizing is one of our elders. She's there smiling, Madam Kafui. You see those 20 years that Madam Diop was talking about, these are the people. 21, sorry. For us, we joined in the middle. Those are the people in South Africa. We have the history, we are writing it. And lastly, we are going to be awarding one of our sisters, Madam Deng Diop, who unfortunately is not able to join us. But because we must do it in absentia, because she has also been a huge supporter of not only the GIMAC, but also the work of promoting women's rights at the national level. So we're looking at those different levels, and we'll continue to recognize our African women. So this is how we are going to do it. I'm going to invite our elder, Your Excellency, Madam Benita Diop, to come, please, and talk to us about Leti. And I'm going to invite my sister Leti to just come here so that we can listen to the citation. Kit.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. So you see the contribution. She might say that I'm not young anymore, but this is the one in between that are already taking from us, Ellen, as a chair, and many of you in this room, Martha. Where is Martha? Martha was the former chair from far away. But let me just say, standing here, recognizing a girl, one of the biggest women champion in the continent, my sister Leti Chiwara. I can spend the whole day talking about Leti. Leti is herself a daughter of Zimbabwe. And you know, Zimbabwe, I produce a lot of intellectuals, but this is one of them. Great intellectual. You know, before I go to the CV or anything, let me just tell the relationship that I had with this lady called Leti Chiwara. You know, I will just give you two stories. The first one day, and it's good to take the narrative. And I was like, maybe her coming to New York, CSW, fighting for civil society. She was heading the UN Women Department for Africa, the whole department for Africa. This woman at UN Women was heading it. And I was looking like all of you for space and money for my NGO. So I said, but who is that UN Women? What is UN Women doing? They don't give us money. Like these young women have been saying, where is the women? You don't give us space. And I was claiming, I was just shouting. So they told me, yeah, there is a Leti Chiwara from Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe, okay, let me go and knock her door. So I came, I knocked, are you Leti Chiwara? She said, sit down, madam. I said, yeah, and she was very calm. I said, Leti Chiwara, I want to know you, but I have a huge program and I need money. So she said, I'm here to service you. You know, this calm you down. That's why. How many money you want? I say, oh, I don't know. I don't have a project. She said, I'm going to help you to draft the program. You see, even giving you the capacity to write your proposal. I say, huh? So there is an African way. I'm here in New York for you. I am sitting here, and what I'm telling you is the real stories. I came with strong, you know, fighting, but she asked me to sit down, and she even proposed more than I was expecting. For the first time I was meeting her as a Zimbabwean girl. The second issue is to relate with GIMAC. She's the mother of GIMAC. And you know, when we were fighting the African, having our space in the African Union Commission, and they were throwing us out. One day we were having a summit in Malabo. So with Madam Zuma, and the ministers of gender were there, say, but we don't work with civil society. This women's group, send them out. Because here is member state, is head of state. Why are you there? So we just went to Leti to say, you are UN, open the door for us, Leti. So Leti brought the women ministers, brought all the AU, the gender directorate, those are here, and brought us in the room, and we sat down. So she said, within this civil society, you ministers, you will not function. And I'm talking as one that is in charge of the UN Women on women's affairs and working for women. But you, minister, you need to work with this woman. That's how the GIMAC now become the permanent civil society in charge of gender equality that is recognized by the African Union. The director, they are here, the directorate. They can tell you the only recognition of civil society within the agenda of the AU during the summit is this GIMAC, but it's thanks to that intervention. While she was here, she never gave up. Anytime that we are meeting with no money, she will say, I will be mobilizing UN Women, Central Africa, West Africa, and sending young people. And she started bringing the youth. She said, I wanted women in this GIMAC. I wanted to support the rural women. I was just saying somebody yesterday, I never knock her door. And you know, that's what I do. Never knock the door of Letty as UN Women with a question or with a problem without getting it solved. She will always positively say, what can we do, Binta? She used to come and sit with me for having a glass of wine or Coca-Cola or whatever to talk until morning to make sure that we have the right thing to do. This is the Letty that we know. The daughter of Africa, daughter of Zimbabwe, a mother. You know, we were mourning the husband not a few years ago to last year before we got COVID. But we know that how brave she is. She was representative of UN Women here in Addis, leading Ethiopia, national UN Women, but also leading the relationship with the ECA, but also with the UN Women. For 9 years, she has been sitting here in almost 10 years in Addis Ababa. Now, Letty is in Malawi, and replaced by Awa. You will see Awa Njaisek. She was at the opening. My sister Awa, we will talk about Awa, you know, but she replaced Letty, but they are very complice, the two of them, the sisters. So I just wanted to recognize also Awa here. But Letty is, you know, she did development. Why she's the best of us is because her study was about development of this continent. And she understood that without women, we will not get where we wanted to do. That's the strategy that she adopted. So Letty in Malawi is doing a great job. I'm sure that when you meet Joyce Banda tomorrow and other women of Malawi who are in this room, they will tell you what UN Women is doing in agribusiness with the women of Malawi. So let me just ask you to clap for this great, the daughter of Zimbabwe, the daughter of Africa. We really wanted to thank her, our gratitude, our sincere gratitude to you, my sister, sincere gratitude.
Wow, wow, and wow. I don't even know where to start, but I can only say, let me start by thanking God for allowing me to witness this day. And I want to also really, really appreciate GIMAC and its leadership, Madam Chair, Helen and your team, and everybody else who was behind the nomination and of course the final selection. It came as a huge surprise to me. I didn't see it coming. And I also want to recognize my dear sisters who have been in the trenches with me. Most of them are here, some are online. But Madam Binta, Thelma, wow, we come a long way. And many others whom I will not be able to mention by name, but you all know yourself where we have been and what we have managed to do to get us to where we are as the women of Africa. I also want to really say this recognition and appreciation of the work I've been doing over the last 25 years is not for me alone, but it was also for the women and young women and girls of Africa, for the great work we all do. The women of Africa hold half of Africa. They hold half the sky. We all hold half the sky. And really, if it was not for you and your struggles, I wouldn't be receiving this award. It is your struggles that keep me awake every night. I might not have solved all, as Madam Binta was saying earlier, but I think one woman, one girl at a time, I've made a difference on this continent. And I'm grateful that difference is being recognized. I also want to really, really appreciate my colleagues at former UNIFEM and UN Women. I've been in this organization for 25 years. All the way from Zimbabwe to New York, to Addis, and now in Malawi. I've worked with formidable teams and colleagues. And I really want to thank you all. All I did most of the time was to come up with the vision and ideas, as Madam Binta was saying. I have a town planning background, so I think, and as town planners, we are taught how to create something from nothing. We create towns, cities, buildings, everything. That background has helped me to come up with solutions, even where others feel it's unsurmountable. And I thank you all for working hard to make those visions a reality. I want to thank my family, particularly my sisters. I'm sure, I hope they managed to join because they were going to join online today. I really want to thank you, big sisters, and my small sis. You held my hand as I grew up. You allowed me to have the education I got to be who I am today. Thank you. My parents, my dad is late, but my mom is still there. Sisters, if you are there, just go and hug mom for me and thank her for me. She didn't go to school herself, but she believed in the education of the girl child. And all of us as sisters, we went to school from a mother who never knew school. I thank my friends. I thank my children, Davina and Nigel. I hope they managed to join all the way from Canada and are witnessing this day with me. Let me end by saying, I get this award in honor of my late husband, Dr. Retired Colonel Richard Mahachi Chiwara. He was my confidant. He was my supporter. He was my everything. If he was here today, this award would end up like it was his. He would own it. He would take it and it would be his. And indeed, I pray to God that is watching over me at this moment from heaven. I prayed this morning that I should not cry. I normally cry the moment I mention his name. But thank God I didn't cry today. And I thank God for that. I want to thank you all for giving me this opportunity and for the recognition. Thank you.
That's the daughter of Zimbabwe. We are claiming her as the daughter of Africa. She belongs to us. Okay. All the hugs. Okay. Thank you, sister. So we go to the next word. I want to invite Madam Kafu to please join us, and my sister Memory here is going to do the job.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. Thank you so much for awarding me the honor to recognize Madam Kafui. But even as Madam Letty is sitting, Letty is a person who employed me into UN. I came from UNFPA, and I was a young girl. I was 23, 24. So I've known her for so many years. I've known her as my sister. She's been my mother. I've cried so much. She's held my hand. I've admired her fighting battles in New York. Here, we had the Beijing Plus 25. You know, she said, what can we do for the women of Africa? So Letty, I truly, truly, truly thank you and your family. And also want to recognize Madame Diop. You know, when you were talking about Africa, our stories as African women are not archived. The Pan-African Women organization, and I do recognize, I think Madame is here from Uganda. If she's not, I know she'll be here. She's coming, Grace. It's an organization which was started way before the African Union, the Organization of African Union. We don't know our history as African women. We must claim it, but we must also celebrate each other. I don't know how many of you watched Woman King. It was the women who said, slavery has an alternative. As Africa, we can trade amongst ourselves and not trade our bodies. Out of all the transatlantic slaveries, women were the ones who suffered. Women were the ones who were raped, they were selected. There's so much about women that we still need to tell. And Madame Diop, I'm so honored that you are starting the journey. We also recognize the blood, the sweat that you fought in the corridors of African Union. And we hope your story will be told and is being told and will be taught, because we need to teach our generation about our African women's stories. But I'm here to recognize Madam Kaunu Afiwa Kafui. It would have been such, I would not be able to say what I say unless I said it in French. And I'm saying this because Madame Kafui is from Togo. But when the first time I first saw you, it was your hairstyles. She had the most amazing hairstyles every time she would come. Her African identity was unquestionable everywhere, where we met in New York, even here in GIMAC. She's a lawyer, a human resources manager. She has extensive professional experience in gender and women's rights. She is women human rights. She authored a lot of instruments and made so many contributions. When we talk even about the Maputo Protocol, the Solemn Declaration, this is one of the authors. Her ink is in African women's human rights instruments. You know, when we come to these spaces, in most cases, we find there's no translation for French. Madame Kafue would offer herself and say, I will translate. And she would also demand and say, why don't we have the translation? I'm privileged, I speak English, and most times and most documents will be in English, but she would offer and volunteer and say, you know, we have a situation here, I will translate, I will do what I can and give herself. So thank you so much for all those years. We recognize and we saw. She has held so many senior positions in public administrations for 20 years before she joined the non-governmental and civil society. She has done a lot of capacity building. For those that know WILDAF, Women in Law and Development, Madame Kafue has been leading the organization, and she has been working and training women on gender. You know, right now we have a huge gap because we don't have the women who used to train and who used to teach us what is gender and how do we use that as an instrument to really pull down the walls of patriarchy and all the barriers. She's also a founding member of GF2D. In 1992, its Reflection and Action Group, Women, Democracy and Development. She was the General Secretary of this organization from 2006 to 2010. Madame Kafue is also a founding member of GIMAC Network since 2002. Under her leadership, WILDAF held the office of GIMAC Network's vice chairperson until her retirement from WILDAF last year in 2022. Furthermore, Madame Kafue also led GIMAC's network thematic cluster on human rights from 2002 to 2012. So GIMAC network has really benefited tremendously from her expertise, from her calmness. You know, you would know Madame Kafue is behind Madame Diop. So you would know no matter what, she would be there. We always knew that even the outcome documents coming out of the network had Madame Kafue's eye to ensure that the human rights language was right. Madame Kafue has also done a lot in leadership, in ensuring African women's voice, visibility, and representation in women's political participation. Togo gave us an amazing gem. She's now retired. You know, we always talk about people who don't retire. Today, we want to witness Madame Kafue, who said, I am retiring, but even as I retire, I'm not becoming invisible. I'm not disappearing. She is still a senior advisor for WILDAF, but also for all the spaces and for everything. We always still run to you, Madame Kafue. What can we do here? So allow me to have the pleasure and honor of honoring Madame Kafue. Thank you. Merci beaucoup.
Just hold it. And then they cut it.
Allow me to speak in French. Je voulais vraiment dire merci, un grand merci à GIMAC, à Binta, à Thelma, à toute l'équipe avec qui on a passé des nuits dans des corridors. Je me rappelle bien de la Libye, où on était à peu près 5 dans les corridors pour pouvoir travailler pour les droits des femmes. Mais je voudrais surtout dire un grand merci à mon homonyme Kafui Adjamago Johnson, la coordonnatrice du WILDAF, sans qui je ne serais pas ce que je suis maintenant et je ne serais pas ici. Elle a été d'un grand support. On a travaillé ensemble. C'est vrai qu'on a le même prénom, mais on a travaillé ensemble pour faire bouger les choses. Donc, tout le mérite va au WILDAF pour m'avoir donné cette opportunité de travailler pour l'avancement des droits des femmes. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you so much and congratulations. Thank you. So I'm inviting Dr. Awori.
Are you hungry? No, you can't be hungry. I mean, you must be enjoying these stories. Yes, I know you are. These are very inspiring women. And look at this one. I hope she's online. Oh, she couldn't come, of course, because as she got up to come to the airport, she was not feeling well. And her husband said to her, she said, shall I go? Shall I not go? You know? Then her husband said to her, you're going nowhere. We're going to call the doctor and see. Because you know, when you start feeling ill, you think it's going to be okay, it will pass. But you're going to get on a plane and you don't know what will happen when you're way up there. So we thank God for the wise husband who told her, just rest. Those women will manage. And indeed, we are going to manage, but we really wish she were here. Because look at her, absolutely elegant. And I'm sorry she's not listening. Is she listening to this? She's not even listening to this. But we'll send her a recording and you are listening. So let me just say that Day Sally Diop Ding, that's her name. I am really honored to be asked to present this award, this well-deserved award to her. Sally is a multifaceted woman. Many of us who have worked with her never knew that she's an electronic engineer. You know, Letty says she's a town planner. You see people sitting in this room, you don't know what kind of backgrounds they have. Sally worked for 20 years as an electronic engineer in Senegal, which is her country of origin. But her passion for women and women's development took her into very interesting paths. to demonstrate what she could do for women. Sally, despite being an engineer, is a very, very strong activist. A very strong activist. This is somebody whose grass does not grow under her feet. Do you know those kinds of women? You know them, huh? And many of you must be those kinds of women, or else you wouldn't be sitting here today. Sally, one of the great things Sally did for GIMAC was to establish the Gender Award. Many of you, I don't know if you've heard of the Gender Award. It's an award we give to heads of states who are champions for gender equality. That award has been given to how many heads of states now? 5 or 6? Yeah, it's given to President Watt first, because Watt was a very strong supporter. Remember when we were looking for, yeah, and Kagame also. Watt, Kagame, Mbeki, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, Namibia, Kenya, we gave, yes, Uhuru, we gave that to Kenya. But Watt, when we were struggling for this gender equality, and we had come from Beijing with our 30% language, that was the language out of Beijing. It was Watt who said, but you people are 50% of the population. Why are you talking about 30%? You deserve 50%. Can you imagine that? The man who changed our thinking. And Sally established these awards. I remember going to the first award in Dakar. I was shocked. Sally is a most creative person. The award ceremony itself, I looked at it, there were lights coming out of the out of the stadium and all kinds of things. It was like a Hollywood show. That was Sally, a very, very creative person. Sally is so creative, you know, if you see many of us looking dressed nicely, it's because of Sally. Sally made sure we were all dressed nicely. She would make sure we bought nice clothes, you know, so we could look good. She cared about us. A very, very strong supporter, not only of the work, but of her sisters who were doing the work. Sally is the one who organized the first, these glasses don't want to get on me properly. She organized the Positive Masculinity Conference in Dakar, and that was a hugely successful conference. She started it and organized it, and there we have it now. She, who has taken over, yes, she's retired now, but that concept still goes on. Sally is a statistician. She organized the National Action Plan for 1325 in Senegal. She is also responsible for the launch of the Aulin chapter in Senegal. When I talk about an activist, these are the kind of things that activists do. She established the national platform for 50 million women to have the floor. She established that. She established a one for 1,000 women economic units in her country, 1,000 women economic units, concrete things that she could be remembered by. The strong intellectual that she is, because she's still with us, in terms of the development of indices, as I was saying, she slipped into statistics. She established the indices for monitoring and evaluating gender-sensitive public policies. How far are we going with these policies? Are women really gaining? We can thank Sally for that. She also did the policy on women count. Women count. That is, the people who are producing data on women and the people who are using that data on women must get together and understand each other and understand about that data. And for that to happen, she instituted a dialogue between data producers and data users. I mean, those are not small things to do. They're not small things to do that have such national significance. And for all of this, Sally was honored and called and recognized twice to become Minister for Women, Family, Gender, and Child Protection in Senegal. And I remember going there, Sally coming to see us, always connected to civil society, always part of her sisters. She was so tired, so many demands on her, but she still wanted to host us for dinner. She wanted to be part of what we were doing. She wanted to make sure that we were supported. So I'm so sorry that Sally herself cannot be here. You see how she's looking there? Very serious, always elegant, very elegant. And because she's not here, we're going to call our GIMAC to please come and receive the award on behalf of her fellow countrywoman, Sally Dieng. Minister Sally Dieng.
I am very proud to stand here and accept this award, not as our GIMAC from UN Women, but our GIMAC from Senegal. And I am privileged to receive it on behalf of Madam Ndeye Saly Diop Dieng, because she has been Minister of Gender for many years in Senegal, and we know how hard it is to be Minister of Gender in Senegal. She represented our country. I met her several times when I was serving UN Women in other countries. I met her several times in New York and other places. And I always remember what Thelma was saying. My colleagues in New York telling me, your elegant minister is in town. Did you see her? And of course, as a Senegalese, I was like, oh, you haven't seen anything yet, just wait. So she always carried herself with a lot of elegance, with a lot of effectiveness, and always open to discussion. I still remember her calling us in her office in Dakar because we were trying to launch Aulin. And my big sister sitting here, Binta Diop, was competing with Pumzile to see who among the two will see Aulin launch in their country the first, as they are the two co-conveners. So Pumzile was won, and she told me, tell Binta that I beat her. So we were struggling to establish Aulin, and she called. I was in Senegal. She called us and we went to her office. And she said, explain to me what the issues are. We sat there and she was asking us questions and we responded. Guess what? After that meeting, in June, she did an extraordinary launch on the 9th of June of Aulin in Senegal. That's the kind of follow-up that we like to see happen from leaders, where they try to understand what the issues are and they go around to come up with solutions. So on behalf of her, on behalf of all the Senegalese women who are in this room, all the West Africans who are in this room, all the African women who are in this room, we say thank you to GIMAC for honoring one of the finest women of Senegal, one of the finest women of Africa. And we also, Senegalese, wax leen nak, wax leen, ndam li ñëw la de. Bojo bojo be. No. And I would also like to join you all to congratulate Minister Ndeye Saly Diop Dieng on this award, which is very well deserved. And I'm sure we will have another opportunity to take this award and present it to her in Senegal. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Elisa. So we're going to go for lunch. Elisa is here. Oh, you want to? Okay, please. Oh, yes, please. Yes, please.